Welcome back to Pro Caitlin TV, the home for the biggest Caitlin Clark stories, WNBA drama, and the hottest basketball discussions on the internet. Today, we're diving into a controversy that has the entire sports world talking. A single moment during the Indiana Fever's matchup with the Phoenix Mercury has sparked outrage, divided fans, and forced the WNBA to take action after the final buzzer. What happened between Caitlin Clark and Alyssa Thomas has become one of the league's biggest stories of the season, raising serious questions about player safety, officiating, and where the WNBA goes from here. Stay with us because this story keeps getting more intense the deeper you look. What started as a scramble for a loose ball quickly turned into one of the most talked about moments of the WNBA season. Fans couldn't believe what they were seeing as replay after replay spread across social media. Some called it an accident. Others believed it crossed the line. Within hours, debate exploded across television, podcasts, and online communities. Then came the twist nobody expected. After reviewing the play, the WNBA upgraded the contact to a flagrant 2 and suspended Alyssa Thomas for 1 game, saying she had recklessly made contact with Caitlin Clark's throat. That decision only fueled an even bigger argument. Fever coach Stephanie White blasted the officiating, while Phoenix stood behind Thomas, insisting the incident had been misunderstood. Meanwhile, fans from both sides flooded social media with opinions, slow-motion clips, and passionate debates over whether the punishment was fair. As the conversation grew louder, the controversy spread far beyond one basketball game and became a league-wide discussion about physical play, consistency, and protecting star players. But what really happened during that chaotic sequence? Why did the league step in after the game was over? And how did one play create such an emotional divide across the basketball world? Let's break it all down. To understand why this moment created such a massive reaction, we have to go back to the atmosphere surrounding the game itself. Whenever Caitlin Clark steps onto the floor, the spotlight follows her. Every possession is analyzed, every foul is replayed, and every emotional exchange becomes a headline. Since entering the WNBA, Clark has become one of the league's biggest attractions, drawing record television audiences, sold-out arenas, and non-stop discussion across sports media. That attention has also brought increased scrutiny. Fans have repeatedly debated whether Clark receives too much physical contact, while others argue she's simply experiencing the intensity that every elite guard must face in professional basketball. Every hard screen, every collision, and every whistle seems to ignite another round of arguments online. So when the Indiana Fever faced the Phoenix Mercury, everyone expected a competitive game. What nobody expected was that one sequence would completely overshadow everything else that happened on the court. The game was already intense. Both teams were fighting for every possession, and neither side wanted to give an inch. Defensive pressure was high, emotions were building, and the physical nature of the matchup was obvious from the opening minutes. Then came the play everyone would soon be talking about. During a loose ball sequence, Caitlin Clark and Alyssa Thomas both made aggressive plays to gain possession. The contact happened quickly, lasting only a moment before play continued. At first, many viewers barely noticed it in real time, but once television broadcasts showed multiple replay angles, opinions immediately began to split. Some fans believed Thomas was simply making a basketball play in the middle of a chaotic scramble. Others argued the contact looked excessive and dangerous, especially because it involved Clark's upper body and neck area. Within minutes, social media exploded. Clips of the play began circulating across X, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and YouTube. Slow-motion replays appeared everywhere, with fans analyzing every frame. Some paused the video repeatedly, trying to determine exactly how the contact occurred. Others posted screenshots, circles, arrows, and detailed breakdowns explaining why they believed the officials either got the call right or completely missed it. Sports talk shows wasted no time jumping into the debate. Commentators discussed whether the officials should have handled the play differently during the game. Former players offered different perspectives, with some saying basketball is naturally physical, while others emphasized that protecting players, especially around the head and neck, must always remain a priority. The discussion quickly became much bigger than one possession. people began asking larger questions. Has the WNBA become too physical? Are officials being consistent? Should dangerous contact automatically result in harsher penalties? Or are fans simply reacting more strongly because the play involved Caitlin Clark? Those questions fueled hours of conversation across every major sports platform. Meanwhile, Indiana Fever supporters were vocal in defending Clark. Many believed the officials had failed to recognize the seriousness of the contact in real time. They argued that similar incidents involving star players deserve immediate review to ensure player safety. Phoenix Mercury fans saw things differently. Many insisted Alyssa Thomas has built her reputation on playing hard, competing every second, and never backing down from physical basketball. They argued that intense contact is part of the game and warned against judging a split-second play solely through slow-motion replays. As both fan bases defended their players, the debate only became louder. Then came another major development. After reviewing the play, the WNBA announced disciplinary action against Alyssa Thomas, determining that the contact warranted a one-game suspension. That decision instantly shifted the conversation. For many Fever fans, it confirmed what they had been saying from the beginning, that the contact crossed the line. For others, however, the suspension raised new concerns about consistency. They questioned whether similar plays in previous games had received comparable punishment and wondered if the league's increased attention on Clark influenced the outcome. The media immediately picked up those competing viewpoints. Some analysts praised the WNBA for prioritizing player safety and taking action even after the game had ended. Others questioned whether retroactive discipline created additional controversy by inviting endless debate over subjective judgments. Regardless of where people stood, one fact became impossible to ignore. Everyone was talking about the WNBA. The incident dominated headlines, sports television, podcasts, and social media trends. Basketball fans who hadn't watched the game suddenly wanted to see the replay for themselves. Every new opinion generated thousands of comments, likes, and reposts. Even neutral fans found themselves choosing sides. Some believed Clark deserves greater protection because she's one of the league's biggest stars and has taken significant physical contact throughout her young professional career. Others argued that every player deserves equal treatment, regardless of popularity, and warned against creating different standards based on media attention. That disagreement became one of the defining themes of the entire controversy. As discussions continued, attention naturally turned toward the players themselves. Everyone wanted to know how Caitlin Clark viewed the incident. Would she publicly criticize Alyssa Thomas? Would she dismiss the entire situation and focus on basketball? Would she call for stricter officiating? Or would she avoid adding fuel to an already emotional debate? At the same time, cameras followed Alyssa Thomas closely. Fans wondered whether she would apologize, defend herself, or explain what happened from her perspective. With the league's decision already announced and emotions running high across the basketball community, the stage was set for another wave of reactions that would keep this story dominating headlines. And as new comments began emerging from both sides, the controversy was about to take an even more dramatic turn. In the next part, we'll look at the aftermath of the league's decision, the public responses from those involved, and why this incident evolved into one of the most hotly debated WNBA stories of the season. As the dust began to settle from the game itself, the real storm was only getting started. What had initially looked like just another physical sequence during a competitive matchup quickly transformed into a league-wide conversation that reached far beyond the box score. Fans weren't just debating one play anymore, they were debating the future of the WNBA, player safety, and whether the league had struck the right balance between toughness and protection. The biggest turning point came when the WNBA announced that Alyssa Thomas would receive a one-game suspension after the league reviewed the play. According to the league, the decision was based on its determination that Thomas had made reckless contact with Caitlin Clark's throat during the loose ball sequence. That announcement immediately became the biggest sports headline of the day. For Indiana Fever fans, the suspension felt like confirmation that the officials had missed the seriousness of the contact during the game. Many supporters argued that the replay showed exactly why additional discipline was necessary. Across social media, fans posted messages praising the league for taking player safety seriously, while others said the decision sent an important message that dangerous contact, even if it happens in the heat of competition, would not be ignored. But not everyone agreed. Almost immediately, another wave of reactions appeared from Phoenix Mercury supporters and basketball analysts who believed the suspension was too harsh. They argued that basketball is an incredibly fast sport, where split-second decisions often look much worse when slowed down frame by frame. Several commentators pointed out that players frequently collide while chasing loose balls, making it difficult to judge intent from replay alone. That difference in perspective only made the conversation more emotional. Sports television panels dedicated entire segments to the controversy. Former players debated whether the league had made the correct call. Some believed the suspension was necessary to discourage reckless contact around a player's head and neck. Others questioned whether similar plays from previous seasons had been punished the same way, raising concerns about consistency. Meanwhile, the spotlight shifted directly onto Alyssa Thomas herself. After the league's announcement, Thomas publicly maintained that she never intended to hurt Caitlin Clark. She explained that the contact happened during a fast-moving basketball play and described it as accidental rather than intentional. While acknowledging how physical the game had become, she rejected the idea that she was trying to injure another player. Those comments added another layer to the story. Some fans appreciated Thomas for speaking openly and explaining her side of the incident. Others remained unconvinced, arguing that intent doesn't always erase responsibility when a player's safety is involved. As emotions continued rising, the situation became even more complicated when reports emerged that Alyssa Thomas and members of her family had received abusive messages and threats online following the incident. Thomas later criticized the online harassment and expressed disappointment that basketball conversations had escalated into personal attacks. That development changed the tone for many observers. Even fans who disagreed about the suspension largely agreed that no athlete or their family should face threats over a basketball game. Numerous players, media personalities, and commentators called for respectful discussion, reminding fans that intense rivalries should never cross into personal abuse. While all of this unfolded, many people were waiting to hear from Caitlin Clark. Would she escalate the controversy? Would she criticize Thomas publicly? Or would she take a different approach? Clark's measured response surprised many people. Rather than fueling the growing argument, Clark largely kept the focus on basketball and moving forward. Her approach contrasted sharply with the heated debates happening online, where countless fans continued arguing over replay angles, officiating decisions, and league discipline. That difference became one of the most interesting parts of the entire story. While social media remained divided, the players themselves avoided turning the incident into a personal feud. Still, that didn't stop media outlets from analyzing every possible angle. Some commentators suggested that Clark's popularity has changed the level of attention surrounding every physical play involving her. They argued that because millions of people are now watching WNBA games specifically to see Clark, controversial moments receive far more coverage than they might have in previous seasons. Others pushed back against that idea. They insisted that player safety should remain the priority regardless of who is involved. Whether the contact involves Caitlin Clark, Alyssa Thomas, or any other player, they argued the league has a responsibility to review dangerous plays fairly and consistently. That debate continued dominating headlines for days. Fans created side-by-side comparisons with previous incidents involving other WNBA players. Videos claiming to show inconsistent officiating spread rapidly online. Some believed those comparisons proved the suspension was justified, while others argued they demonstrated a lack of consistency across the league. Every new post seemed to generate another round of disagreement. One thing, however, became increasingly clear. This controversy wasn't just about one collision anymore. It had become a conversation about officiating standards, league discipline, media attention, and the enormous spotlight surrounding women's basketball during one of its fastest periods of growth. For the WNBA, that presented both challenges and opportunities. On one hand, controversial moments can create negative headlines and divide fan bases. On the other hand, the incredible amount of attention showed just how much interest now surrounds the league. Millions of people who might never have discussed a regular season WNBA game were suddenly debating rules, officiating, and player safety. That level of engagement demonstrated how much the league has grown. Still, everyone understood that the story wasn't over. Questions remained about how future games would be officiated. Would referees call physical contact more tightly? Would players adjust their style of play? Would the league face pressure to review similar incidents more aggressively moving forward? Perhaps most importantly, fans wondered how this controversy might affect future matchups involving Caitlin Clark and Alyssa Thomas. Whenever those two teams meet again, emotions will almost certainly be high. Every hard foul, every defensive possession, and every close call will likely receive even greater attention than before. And that's exactly why this story continues to resonate. It isn't simply about what happened during one game. It's about how one moment sparked a much larger discussion that could influence conversations around player safety, officiating, and the WNBA for a long time to come. But despite all the debate, one final chapter remained: the lasting impact of the controversy, and what it could mean for both players and the league was still unfolding. And in the final part, we'll explore the biggest takeaways, the long-term consequences, and why this incident may be remembered as a defining moment in one of the WNBA's most closely watched seasons. By this point, it was clear that the controversy had grown far beyond a single possession on the basketball court. What began as a split-second collision had become one of the defining stories of the WNBA season, with fans, analysts, former players, and even casual sports viewers weighing in from every direction. Whether people agreed with the league's decision or not, almost everyone agreed on one thing: this moment had captured the attention of the entire basketball world. For Caitlin Clark, the spotlight has become part of everyday life. Since entering the WNBA, every game she plays attracts enormous audiences. Television ratings continue to climb, arenas are packed, and every highlight or controversial moment spreads across social media within minutes. That kind of attention is exciting for the league, but it also means every physical play involving Clark is examined under a microscope. Some fans believe that's simply the price of being the face of a rapidly growing league. Others argue it creates unrealistic pressure, where every foul becomes national news and every emotional reaction turns into a headline. This incident perfectly illustrated that reality. If a similar collision had happened several years ago, it's possible the conversation would have faded after a day or two. Instead, this story remained in the headlines because millions of people were watching, debating, and sharing their opinions online. At the same time, Alyssa Thomas also found herself dealing with intense public scrutiny. Thomas has built a reputation throughout her career as one of the WNBA's toughest and most competitive players. She's known for playing with relentless energy, battling for every rebound, and refusing to back down from physical competition. Supporters pointed to that history as evidence that her style has always been aggressive but focused on winning, not hurting opponents. Still, the league's suspension meant this particular play would remain attached to her name for quite some time. Some fans accepted Thomas's explanation that the contact was accidental. Others continued to believe the punishment was fully justified. Regardless of which side people supported, the incident became another reminder of how quickly public opinion can form in today's sports landscape. One viral video, one controversial replay, one official decision, and suddenly, an entire narrative can take shape before everyone involved has even had the chance to speak. That reality isn't unique to the WNBA. We've seen similar situations across professional sports, where a single moment dominates headlines for days while thousands of other great plays from the same game receive almost no attention. But this case felt different because it touched on several issues at once. There was the debate over physical play. There was the discussion about officiating. There was the question of player safety. And there was the ongoing conversation about how much attention Caitlin Clark brings to every game she plays. Many basketball analysts believe the league now faces an important challenge. As interest in the WNBA continues growing, every controversial decision will receive greater scrutiny than ever before. Fans expect consistency. Players expect fairness. Coaches expect clear explanations. The league understands that every disciplinary decision now influences public confidence in how the game is managed. That means future incidents may be judged even more carefully. Referees could feel additional pressure to review physical plays more thoroughly during games. League officials may continue relying on post-game reviews when necessary. Players themselves might become even more aware of avoiding unnecessary contact around an opponent's head or neck. In many ways, this controversy could influence how similar situations are handled in the future. Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark has continued doing what she has done throughout her basketball career, keeping her attention on competing. Instead of allowing one incident to define her season, Clark has continued focusing on helping the Indiana Fever improve, creating scoring opportunities for teammates, and embracing the expectations that come with being one of the league's biggest stars. That mindset has earned praise from many observers. Rather than extending the controversy through public arguments, Clark has largely let her play speak for itself. For Indiana Fever fans, that's exactly what they hope to see. They want their star guard concentrating on basketball rather than distractions. Phoenix Mercury supporters feel similarly about Alyssa Thomas. They hope the conversation eventually shifts away from one controversial play and back toward Thomas's impressive career, leadership, and impact on winning basketball games. Perhaps that's the biggest lesson from this entire situation. Moments of controversy will always exist in sports. Hard fouls will happen. Officials will make difficult decisions. Fans will disagree. Media personalities will debate every angle. But eventually, the game itself continues. Players return to the court. New rivalries develop. New headlines appear. And another unforgettable chapter is written. Still, it's likely that whenever Indiana and Phoenix meet again, everyone will remember this incident. Every defensive possession involving Clark and Thomas will attract extra attention. Every whistle will be analyzed. Every replay will be viewed from multiple angles. That's simply the reality when two elite competitors share the floor after such a highly publicized controversy. One thing is certain, the rematch will be one of the most anticipated games on the WNBA schedule. Fans from both sides will tune in, eager to see whether the teams can move past the controversy or whether another dramatic chapter will unfold. Whatever happens next, this incident has already secured its place as one of the most talked about moments of the season. It reminded everyone just how passionate WNBA fans have become. It highlighted the importance of player safety. It sparked meaningful conversations about officiating and consistency. And perhaps most importantly, it showed just how much the league has grown. When millions of people care enough to passionately debate one play for days, it's a sign that women's basketball has reached a new level of national attention. As this season continues, the focus will gradually return to the standings, playoff races, and championship dreams. But the discussions sparked by this controversy are unlikely to disappear anytime soon. One play, one decision, one suspension, and an entire league left talking about what comes next. That's what makes the story far bigger than a single basketball game, and why fans will be watching every moment of the next chapter. And with that, we've reached the end of today's story. What started as one controversial moment quickly turned into one of the biggest talking points of the WNBA season, sparking debates about player safety, officiating, and the future of the league. Whether you agree with the WNBA's decision or think the incident has been blown out of proportion, one thing is certain. This conversation is far from over, and fans everywhere will be watching closely to see what happens the next time these teams face off. Now we want to hear from you. Do you think the WNBA made the right decision by suspending Alyssa Thomas? Was the contact simply part of a physical basketball play? Or did the league make the correct call in prioritizing player safety? Share your thoughts in the comments below. We read them all, and your opinion could be featured in one of our upcoming videos. If you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe to Pro Caitlin TV, and turn on notifications so you never miss the latest Caitlin Clark news, WNBA drama, breaking updates, and in-depth basketball discussions. Thank you so much for watching and supporting the channel. We'll see you in the next video, right here on Pro Caitlin TV.